Hello, my name's Harold, and we're back for another episode in the life of poor old redneck here. Watching mess up again. Uh, Something I meant to bring up in the past two or three videos. I've got this book right here, and by Mr. Jeff Cooper, obviously a guy that would have been a good friend and a good guy to have your back if you were in trouble. It was given to me by Mr. Green, and I'd like to pass it on to somebody. So my email address is down there, and first person to send me an address I can mail it to gets it. Now this, I should rephrase it. First email I find with an address gets it. You may actually be the second guy, and I didn't notice the first one or something, and so the management's not responsible for stupid mistakes. Uh, anyway, I'd like to pass this on to somebody because books are meant to be read, and I've read it, so it needs to find a new home. And we're going to continue on today with the the Craftsman belt sander, and we'll see if it comes to a good end or not or whatever. But before we get there, I got to tell you about Bubba and Cooter. They they saved up their money and they got themselves a trip up to Canada, way up in the North Woods up there for a moose hunt. They got out there and they got themselves a moose and they brought it back down to the airplane because they had to fly in there. And this is one of those airplanes on the floats, it floats on the lake and stuff. And they drag the the moose down there to the pier, and the pilot looks at it and them and their gear, and he says, he says, either you're gonna have to leave the moose behind or you're gonna have to leave some of your gear. He says, I can't carry all that. And Bubba says, no, no. He says, last year the pilot flew us in here. He took everything. Well, after he took the moose and their gear and everything. Pilot says, I don't know. He said, I don't believe I can carry that much weight. And Cooter says, well, now they took it last year. They let us load everything up. And so the pilot, he says, well, this is against my better judgment. But if they let you do it last year, I guess maybe I'm not figuring it right. All right, load it all in. So they loaded everything in the plane, and he revved it up and he took out across the edge of the lake there. Finally, he got it up in the air, but he didn't get it up high enough to clear the trees. And when he got over the edge of the lake, past the shore, bang, clap, 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 he hit a bunch of trees and crashed just bigger than anything. And so Bubba and Cooter come crawling out of the wreckage there. Cooter says, hey, Bubba, he says, you got any idea where we at? And Bubba says, yeah. He says, I think so. He says, I think we're about 100 yards past where we crashed last year. So it's, that's maybe I better shut up and get on with the belt sander here, whatever I called it. We'll do that. Well, there you go. I forgot something else again. One of my three viewers, Mr. Craig Clement, has been modifying a Kearney and Trecker mill, and he's put a vertical head on it. He's published the videos on YouTube. There's one in there already, and I'm sure he'll load them all up. But anyway, it's a pretty big project, and from what I've seen of it so far, he's doing a good job of it. And I'll put a link to that down there. Not necessarily in the video for sure, because I'm not very good at that, but I'll try it. But it'll be down in the description down there of the video. There'll be a link to his site, and maybe you guys can take a look at it. He does a lot better videos than I do, so you guys will probably like it. All right, let's get on with the belt sander. Well, in the last exciting episode of Redneck's Miseries, we fixed this top roller up here. What up at it here? This one here, we fixed this top roller to make up for the wear, and we put the belt back on the sander. I have to move back a little further, maybe. Anyway, we put the belt back on the sander, and we cranked it up, and it kind of squealed some. And just to prove that previous repairs have nothing to do with it. There we go. There's another bearing in there that's got to be repaired. And I know there's a bearing in here, and I'm pretty sure there's a nice bearing up here. So I'm going to tear this little sucker down and find where the other bearing that's squealing is at. This is probably wasn't as good a buy as I thought it was, but so far it really hasn't cost me anything. So we'll see what we see. Now here's a tool that's worth its weight in gold. I already took this one out with it because this thing wants to turn instead of letting go. Now we'll get this one down here, hopefully. It's an impact tool, and if you push in on it, it goes the other way. Push in on it, back the other direction. This is great for getting screws out of the aluminum cases of a motorcycle engine or gearbox, or any kind of aluminum for that matter. It had it a long time, and it's served me well. I used to have another one somewhere, but things walk off, you know. So no telling where the other one's at. One's enough anyway. I expect I probably bought the other one because I couldn't find that one. That's what I usually do. Alright, well, I'm going to work on pulling these pulleys off, and we'll come back. Okay, so removal of 3 more Phillips head screws from down in here has caused the thing to come loose. There's a bearing in here, and you can see it down in there, that it's not, it feels a little rough, so probably I'll replace it just for the heck of it. But I expect the problems down at the motor bearings, because the motor feels tight and there's no load on it now, so that's where the problem's at, in the motor bearings. I don't know why anybody would put Phillips screws in a piece of aluminum, because you get all that seizing up, and most of the time they're not coming out, you know, not intact. Well, obviously the cleaning's not over yet. There's a lot of sawdust and stuff in there. And I've got to figure out how to get that disc off of the motor so that I can check out the bearings. Well, after a quick look over, I decided the secret had to be hiding behind that sanding disc, and whoa, no focus there. Sure enough, right back there is cap screw. So we're a little bit closer to having the motor out, all the way out, and all the way stripped down, and we'll be back shortly. Yeah, I figured that was a left-hand thread, which it really was, but looking at it upside down, I tried to take it off to the right anyway. Well, this is full of sawdust too, but we've got totally bad bearings on that end, and this other end is rough and gritty. This one is trying to seize up, and the motor's chock full of sawdust too. This tool is for pulling, it's heavy, pulling bearings off an axle, and it's got some special bolts someplace, I don't know where, but these will probably do. So I'm going to put it over there in the hydraulic press. I don't think it needs practically any pressure, but it's the most reasonable place to get this thing apart. Good thing that my drill press is on wheels, so I could get it the heck out of the way there. And get back over it here to push this little bearing off. Oh, keep banging my head on bicycles and things. Alright, so here we go. take very much of anything to pop it out of there. And there we go. Just about there. That's one of the wonderful things about a hydraulic press. It doesn't matter how tight it is, it's going to work. There's one bearing. Kind of drop that pull and ding it all up. Alright. Well, I've got a screw there, so I have to pump away and take down there. That'll do it. And there we are. Going number 2 loose. Like it at the bearing store, I guess. Nice, we can get behind there. Someplace I have a little puller that should be close to the right size to pull that booger off of there, if I can just find it. I can't push it through because there's a blind end on the other end. This one's going to have to be pulled off. So this isn't really looking good, you know. It looks like I may wind up buying 4 bearings. So this would probably be a case where it would be better to throw it in the dumpster and run, you know. But I'll try and find some cheap place to buy some bearings. I'm going to be back later after I try to find my puller. Well, I finally got bearing pried up enough so I can get the sharp edge of that collar to go right up underneath the bearing, and I found the little puller that I was looking for. I had to get the bearing pretty much off the shaft before I could get this thing hooked under it, but I think now I should be able to move it quite well. Give it a little pry here. Well, drop things. It should come right on off. Drop it, throw its floor. Okay. Instead of being so graceful, turn this other side for a while. The little bearing's fighting all the way. But while I was going looking for the bearing, I took time to eat and do a little web surfing, and get all the bearings for about $10, I think. So, not as bad as it looked. Not as if they were $10 or $15 a piece. Alright, so that's off. And that's out of there. And there's the other bearing. And he's almost come off. I think he was the one that was slipping. I bent this little guy right here and bent him, but that's alright. I got a whole drawer full. And I'll go back over the press and push this little guy right on through, and we're going to be in business. I'll be back. I noticed the Sears job didn't have this piece right here, so I'm going to make one. Actually, out of an old office chair. I got a few metal pieces I salvaged off one. That's the back out of an office chair, and it should provide just exactly the right piece of metal to make what I'm going to make with a little fence for that sandwich. And we'll come back when we get some further along. This is yet again another day, and we're going to slit off a piece of metal to to make that guard for the top of the sander while I'm waiting for the bearings to arrive. And I would like to use a lot smaller slitting saw than that, but that thing's stuck on there and I can't get it off, and so I'm going to use it until it falls off or I get another arbor. It's a heck of a note, but the first time I used it I crashed it and it's been stuck on there ever since. Alright, so we will get on with the thing. Got some new stickers from various channels, and so there they are. I'll be back in a minute. So I just sort of very slowly plunged this thing in until the teeth started coming out the other side. And now I'm going to try to very slowly feed it right down the length here. He's doing a pretty good job so far. I really like the way it's cut. I'm going to stop everything here for a second, see how hot it is. Well, it turns out that a 6mm bolt fits in there, and right underneath it is this little brad with the head sticking up, and what I did was just made a nice round hole there so that slips right over the brad. And it also uses this piece that sticks up here to hold it in position. And now all I've got left to do is to make this little bend here. I'll be back with that. Okay, so I've got the piece set up in the hydraulic press and squared the back of it up with the sides of the V-block, and I'm going to try to start the bend with that little round piece. Well, it's still plenty hot, but I think that's I was looking, let me get it right up close to the turn there. That's pretty well square enough for what we're doing. So I guess I did pretty good by eyeball. We'll cool it, clean it, and paint it, and it'll be ready to go. And it's another day again. Here, the piece that I made, I painted it. I was holding it on this welding rod, and you know, holding it up like that and spray painting it. And I dropped the stupid thing 3 times. Had to pick it up and wipe it off. And so I bit an L shape at the end of it. I put it back on there, and I dropped it 2 more times. Well, yeah, one more time. No. Yeah, one more time. And so I bent it over like that. And stupid me, spraying it and trying to roll it around. I dropped it 5 times and had to wipe it off 5 times. And the 5th time, it hit both pants legs and painted them red. So this is, I had to work for this little piece here. And I guess I would be ashamed to say I dropped it that many times, but I did. Now then, 4 new bearings have come in from Amazon, and we're going to put this thing back together today, if I can remember how. I guess you can take bets on whether I'm going to remember how to put it together, but I'm going to assemble a piece, then I'll show it to you, and then I'll assemble another piece, and so on. I don't want you to see me struggle that much. Okay, the motor's in it. I guess that the next step would be to try to put this little disc on, but I've got to clean all that crud off. And it takes a little while to remember where each screw goes, so a lot of testing on those. But I'll be back in a minute and we'll put the disc on. That glue didn't want to come off real well off of that disc. We'll give it a shot of it. Whoa, that's not good. That's darn. It smells like the magic smoke's coming out of there. That's not good at all. Something's not right. Well, there you go. It's more and more looking like a dumpster job. I don't see anything wrong with it, and it turns really free and easy. Maybe I would just hold it on too tight with that fabric there. Let's see. Certainly sounds like it runs good. It may be that I blew a bunch of sawdust around in it into the wrong spot, so I did blow it out with an air hose. There we go, more smoke. There is that sawdust. Sure looks like smoke to me. Well, here we are with a new day, and I've thought about it. I opened up the motor, and you can see the windings that are overheating in there. They're almost black compared to the copper of the others. And I guess what it's going to do is it's going to just overheat until it burns up or something. So guys like to see you blow things up. So maybe guys like to see you burn things up too. So I thought, well, maybe I would just turn it on and let all the magic smoke out and see what happens. After all, there's no motor like that available, and so what the heck, huh? Let's see what happens. He's running. Shame too, brand new bearings and everything, and rolls really nice. I suppose maybe people turned it on a lot when it was stuck with the bad bearings, and they just look at the smoke coming out. I guess they just ruined it. Look at that. This thing's got to go soon. Whew. Oh man. Whew. I can't take that. Stinks too much. Well, there you are. One unsuccessful project. At least I got a pile of cast aluminum there I can use for my foundry or something. And who knows? I may come up with something else. But I've got other work I got to do, and so this is a failed job, and that's it. We're through with it for probably forever, unless I come up with a little motor and a way to mount it. We'll see what we'll see. Thanks for watching, and please leave a comment. And whew, I gotta get out of here. That's killing me. Yeah.